The homily that I prepared and that I gave last evening was all about our relationship with things, with our possessions, the things that we have, and that we very seldom think about a relationship with them. But I think that's an apt word, because it's how we feel about our things, and I think sometimes the hold that they have over us. And so I went on, gave a lot of examples, and I would just say I'd leave you with how I ended with the invitation to maybe sometime take a spiritual inventory of your stuff. Usually if I said, well, do a spiritual audit in your life, you would think about, oh, my prayer life, or maybe my time, talent, treasure. But go into your closet and don't ask yourself if it's outdated and you need a new one. Ask yourself, why do I have this? And do I have too much, or could someone else use something? Anyway, that was all about last night. But of course, after last evening and getting up this morning and the bishop's statement, I did something I seldom do, is not really being as well prepared, kind of change course. And I think especially I was watching the news this morning, and I heard President Biden say there's no place for violence in our country. And I thought to myself, well, that's debatable. I mean, that's the debate that's going on. There are people who are saying there's a place for violence in our country. I've heard some say we should have another revolution. We're well past a couple hundred years, or we need another civil war, And I hear those who say Second Amendment rights. Why? To protect ourselves, even from the government. If we think that they're forcing stuff upon us. There's all kinds of calls for violence in the country in which we live. But this is indisputable. There is no place for violence found in the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is without a doubt, because I've read it backwards and forwards, and I've preached it. And from the beginning and the Sermon on the Mount, it's turn the other cheek. Walk the extra mile. Don't even meet evil with evil. And it's telling Peter to put away the sword. And you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And it's taking upon himself the cross and not even arguing with Pilate, and forgiving from the cross. And the resurrection message is the message of peace. There's no place in the gospel that calls for violence, is there? Jesus sends out these 12 today. What a group, What a mixed group. There's some fishermen, and you've got a tax collector and a zealot party member. Well, that must have been a great mix. I wonder how they were at the Last Supper. Different people, right? And you got Judas, who maybe already is sinning, and he had said that he took from the purse, the common purse. And Jesus sends them out. And he sends them out preaching, it's time to overthrow the Roman rule. Of course not. He doesn't even send them out with saying, well, we need a new religion, the old is gone. He simply sends them out preaching the good news of God's kingdom, preaching repentance and God's forgiveness, preaching healing and casting out evil and healing the sick. And when he says go out and preach, and he says if they don't listen to you, call down fire from heaven and I will destroy that town. No, he doesn't say that. If they don't want to listen to you, okay, shake the dust off your feet, go to the next town. Maybe they'll get it later on. He's never, ever meeting resistance or anything with violence. Not the gospel. And so we have to ask ourselves where we fit. One of the thoughts that I have played with in my life, if you will, thought about for myself, and I think maybe you would appreciate all of us thinking about this. is this. Is my faith in my life, is my faith a noun or an adjective? That's the way I think about it. Adjectives are all descriptions, and they come and go, don't they? I mean, somebody, our second reader, he says, he remembers me from IHM. That's a lot of years ago. Where is he? Fire Dennis. Yeah. My hair was brown. So was yours. That's an adjective. I was 5'11". I had my physical on Monday. I got on and she said, "You're 5'9". That's why this albus, so it's touching I'm shrinking. That's an adjective. It changes. People say, "Oh, you're a golfer." Yeah, but I grew up bowling. I'm a Polak from Buffalo. My home parish has 8 lanes. True. I mean, things that we do. Some of us are more liberal when we're younger and more conservative when we're older. Some people are Republican at one time and Democrat at the other, or vice versa, or independent, or, we go through life, things change. We claim a nationality, although some people have lived, and many people in our country were not born here. Some people claim different nationalities throughout their life. How many things in our lives, I think, are adjectives, but we think about them as nouns. We think about them as our identity, and we hold on to them so passionately, way too passionately. And they're not, if only we hung on to our faith as passionately as we do the Detroit Lions or the Buffalo Bills. And I'm not joking. Think about the passion in your life for things and how you feel about your faith and the love of God. It's a sober wake-up call for all of us, for me included, right? What's the noun? What are the adjectives? The adjectives are all the things we will not take to the kingdom of heaven, which is everything. Well, not everything. Because there's that great line, you hear it, it's from Revelation, you hear it sometimes in the funeral prayers. "Blessed are those who have died in the Lord. Let them rest from their labors, for their good deeds go with them." One thing we get to take, our good deeds, which are part of who we are. But we go to heaven, and even in the little question and trying to trip up Jesus, the Pharisees and scribes asking him, the woman who was married 7 times, who's she married to in heaven? Jesus says, you're like angels in heaven. All those things, all the differences that we have, they melt away. All the things that we are so passionate about. Bishop in his letter at the beginning talked about, the rhetoric, the rhetoric that we use, the ways that we talk. 10 years from now, who knows what we'll be talking about? 20 years, 50 years? Will it really make much of a difference, this phase that we're going through? And so it talks about quieting that, but I would invite all of us to say, what's the noun in my life? And what are the adjectives? And how tightly do I hold on to them? And how do I see myself before the Lord? He sends us out like he sent out the 12. And notice what he says to the 12. It's more what not to take than what to take. I'm sending you out. No money, no second tunic, no this, no that. I'm sending you out with the good news of the kingdom and of my love. And that's what we're sent out every Sunday when we're sent from this Mass.